All right, Sinister plotters, welcome back
Back again.
for another deep dive into Metalstar.
Yeah.
After that Chapter 4 cliffhanger,
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what is Aaron Hill doing to us?
I know.
It was brutal.
It was really brutal.
We're picking up right where we left off.
Right in the action.
Jake charging into who knows what.
Oh, yeah.
So we got Chapter 5 hot off the presses.
Yes.
And we've got our trusty Luminarium.
Of course.
Our annotated guide.
Gotta have it.
Plus, I've got all the recaps from the earlier chapters.
Perfect.
So, Chapter 5, Baroque Fantasia.
Let's do it.
It just throws you right into this crazy battle.
It really does.
Like from the first page.
You're right there.
You're in it.
Blood everywhere.
Electrified fog.
It's intense.
It's like a heavy metal album cover.
Yes.
But in prose form.
Exactly.
And Jake, man.
Oh, man.
He is not messing around.
Not at all.
Takes down 2 Sky Reapers like it's nothing.
Like they were standing still.
Dodging those energy blasts.
I know.
And the Luminarium actually calls him a force of nature.
It does.
So,
it's pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah, Hill doesn't waste any time throwing us right into the action. It's brutal, chaotic. You really get a sense of the terror these Sky Reapers inspire, especially with those, what were they called?
The electrostatic cannons.
Right, those electrostatic cannons.
But this mission.
Oh, yeah.
Cripple the alien forces, burn the farm, free the slaves.
That's a lot.
Heavy stuff.
Stakes are high.
And then, inside the slave facility.
Oh, yeah.
Those Luminarium descriptions.
Oh, my gosh.
Really grim.
Grim is an understatement.
Packed cells, barely any food, and this feeling of just like...
hopelessness.
Yeah, just like crushing despair.
Yeah. And amidst all the chaos, IDEO really shines. Talk about quick thinking with those explosives.
She's definitely one to watch. I loved her dry humor, even in the heat of battle.
He comes in with this line.
What a line.
You didn't really think you could do this alone, did you?
I know.
So much sarcasm.
Dripping with it.
Yeah, and she's not afraid to get things done. Blows open those cell doors.
Oh.
No hesitation. Practical. But going back to the Sky Reapers for a second, what really struck me in this chapter was the sheer scale of their operation.
Those gardens, right. We got those glimpses of them in the previous chapters, but here we see them in their full, I don't know, unsettling beauty.
Absolutely. And it's a beauty that kind of masks a really harsh reality, because we learned in Chapter 5 what the Sky Reapers' plan for Earth actually is.
Oh, yeah.
They're using humans as slaves to cultivate these, I don't know, alien gardens.
Yeah.
It's like they're terraforming the planet to suit their own needs.
It's chilling when you really think about what's at stake here.
Yeah.
It's not just, a fight for survival. It's a fight for Earth itself.
Exactly. Hill calls it a Baroque fantasia of alien flora, and I think that's a perfect description.
And the way he describes these gardens, it's so vivid. He talks about those tangling puce vines and twisting cerise limbs and enormous trunks of violet.
Yeah.
It's like poetry.
Almost beautiful.
But then you remember this beauty is like choking the planet?
Literally. Earth has been transformed into this alien wonderland.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but also kind of terrifying at the same time.
Exactly. And that's the point, isn't it? It's a reminder that this invasion is more than just a military conquest. It's about transforming Earth itself, making it suitable for the Sky Reapers.
Like terraforming the planet.
Exactly. The Luminarium confirms that this is their long-term goal. And it's not just for show. We finally learn why they chose Earth. It's the nitrogen-rich environment, perfect for growing those strange plants.
And here's where it gets really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Those plants, they emit argon gas, which is deadly to humans.
Exactly. It makes you question their whole motive, right? Are they just terraforming Earth to suit their needs, or is there something more sinister at play?
And let's not forget, the Sky Reaper threat is growing more formidable by the day.
Oh, yeah. Remember Wax's prediction? 2 years. That's all they have before Earth is completely overrun by the alien vegetation.
It's like a ticking time bomb hanging over their heads.
Definitely adds a sense of urgency to the story.
And in the midst of all this, Jake encounters this young woman who he feels compelled to protect.
It's almost a moment of, hope in this really dark, brutal chapter.
Right. And then she ends up saving Jake's life using one of those Sky Reaper cannons. No human has been able to operate that alien tech before.
I know. It's a huge moment.
What do you think it means?
Well, the Luminarium doesn't give us all the answers yet, but it hints that Sarah's ability is connected to her unique origin as a Protogaia clone.
So there's something special about these clones.
Definitely. They're not just ordinary humans.
This is getting good. But unfortunately, Sarah's moment of triumph is short-lived.
Oh, no, it happens.
She ends up getting seriously injured, her arm severed by a Sky Reaper. Hill doesn't shy away from the violence. He describes it as a macabre portrait of a moment frozen in time. And you can feel Jake's guilt. He had promised to protect her.
It's a heartbreaking turn of events.
And right when you think it can't get any worse, this mysterious figure, dressed in white, appears out of nowhere.
Who is this guy?
That's the big question, isn't it? The mystery surrounding this man in white just adds to the suspense.
For sure. We're left wondering what his role is in all of this.
They manage to escape with Sarah, but she's in critical condition. Talk about a cliffhanger.
Right. And then things get even more interesting. Remember John Darby from Chapter 2?
John, the other clone.
Yeah. He's been surviving on his own in the city until this massive sandstorm hits.
Oh, no.
And wouldn't you know it, he ends up seeking shelter with Jake's group.
What are the chances?
It's almost too perfect.
So now we have both clones together.
But they have no idea who each other are.
This is going to be good.
I know, right? Hill is setting us up for some serious drama.
Okay, so let's get back to that man in white. He just, materializes out of thin air to tend to the wounded. And it's clear from the get-go that Jake doesn't trust him.
Can you blame him? I mean,
Yeah.
The guy shows up in the middle of this insane battle dressed in pristine white, like he just stepped out of a fashion show or something, and he's completely unfazed by the carnage around him.
Right. It's unsettling. Even the way he moves, Hill describes it as this eerie calmness.
Amidst all this chaos. And Jake, he's exhausted, he's desperate, and he just accepts his help without even, questioning it.
Yeah, like he senses something different about this guy.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, because, we've got the Luminarium, Aaron's notes. He tells us that the man in white, he's actually a Roger. That's a robotic genetic engineer.
A robot.
Yeah.
That is some seriously advanced tech for a post-apocalyptic world. And what's even more interesting, more intriguing, is this possible connection to Sarah,
You think so?
from the Protagia project.
Oh, right, yeah.
So is this a clue to how she might be involved in all this?
Oh.
It feels like Hill's weaving those two storylines together, like the Rogers presence just raises all these questions about the past, the future of this world, and how those two might be intertwined.
We don't have all the details yet, but it's clear that Hill is setting up something really intriguing here.
Intriguing is an understatement. This is mind-blowing.
I know. And luckily, the Luminarium gives us some more insights into Roger's creation.
Describing him as
A society of the robot mind.
it's wild.
Yeah, so it's like all these biomagnets
Each one, a tiny homunculus,
working together.
as a single entity.
So not just a machine,
No.
a collective intelligence.
Wow.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
It makes you think about, consciousness.
Right. Does he think like a human?
Does he have emotions?
Free will?
Or is he just following his programming?
Yeah, it's like philosophy meets sci-fi.
I love that Hill does that.
Me too.
The Luminarium gets so interesting. Hill talks about this Orbis Ex Machina.
What is that?
It's like the central processing unit that acts as Roger's personality.
Oh, okay.
It's like he has this whole society of mini robots within him forming his consciousness.
What is going on with it?
I know. It's next level sci-fi.
These are the questions that philosophers have been debating for centuries.
I know.
And now Hill is bringing them into this action-packed sci-fi thriller. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Right. And how did this Roger even get here? What's his purpose? What's his connection to Sarah? Hill knows how to keep us hooked.
Oh, yeah. He knows how to keep us on the edge of our seats. And speaking of connections, we finally get John Darby's storyline converging with the group.
Yes.
Their paths collide during that escape through the city. It's tense.
Very tense.
They're all dealing with dwindling supplies, injuries, exhaustion. The situation is pretty dire.
And then a sandstorm hits.
Yeah. On top of everything else, it's like nature itself is against them at this point. You can almost feel the grit of that sand, the heat, the sheer power of that storm.
And amidst all that chaos, John Darby is basically forced to come out of hiding.
He has to. And he joins the group.
Yes.
And it's a turning point for him because he's been a lone wolf for so long.
Yeah.
But now he has to rely on others.
Right.
His military expertise. How is that going to come into play, as they continue this journey?
I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
So they reach this airfield, right? It's kind of like the halfway point.
Yeah. They make it.
But there's no time to celebrate.
Nope.
The wounded need help.
Urgently.
And you can feel the tension.
Between Jake and Poe especially.
Yeah, their whole conversation
No.
about building an army.
Versus just surviving.
Yeah, what's the priority?
Yeah, tough choices.
Right.
Yeah. Well, they're heading back to the bunker with Sarah badly injured.
Her condition is getting worse,
Not good.
and they decide Jake has to take her to the bunker.
Alone. Tough decision.
And Rensa, she gives up her supplies,
I know.
knowing it could mean,
Life or death.
yeah, it's a huge sacrifice.
It is.
And the Luminarium talks about her upbringing,
Yeah.
harsh,
In the demi-monde.
but she's got this deep well of compassion.
Shut down.
And then,
Yeah.
just when you think Jake's going it alone, the man in white
He steps up.
offers to help.
Despite his injury.
Yeah, it's like,
What's his deal?
I know. So they set off for the bunker,
Into the unknown.
and Jake starts to get suspicious. Jake notices that Roger doesn't seem to need any rest.
That's odd.
It is. He's moving incredibly fast, especially while carrying Sarah. Almost like he's not even breaking a sweat.
Which just adds to the mystery surrounding him.
Totally. Jake already suspects that Roger might be one of those advanced robots from the compound, but now he's seeing it firsthand.
So what does he do?
Well, they stop for a break, and Jake, being Jake, decides to confront Roger directly. He even makes this comment about Roger having milk for blood.
Milk for blood.
Yeah, it was a pretty funny line.
It is, but what does Roger say?
He doesn't deny it. Instead, he just asks Jake what gave him away.
That's so creepy.
I know. And Jake's response is really insightful. He says, men have fear, but you didn't.
Whoa.
Right. It really highlights the difference between humans and machines.
Even in a world as crazy as this one.
Exactly. And then Roger starts asking Jake about the Sky Reapers. He wants to know where they came from. Almost like he's trying to piece together this puzzle of their existence.
Which is fascinating because it shows that he's not just a mindless machine.
Right. He's curious. He wants to learn.
Just like a human.
Exactly. And what's even more interesting is that Jake doesn't have all the answers. He admits that humanity knows very little about the Sky Reapers.
So they're both in the dark.
In a way, yeah. They're both seeking knowledge, facing the unknown.
It's a reminder that even in a post-apocalyptic world, the desire to learn can still thrive.
Absolutely. But we also get that big reveal in this section, remember?
Oh yeah, when Roger finally tells Jake who he is.
Exactly. He says, I am a Roger, a robotic genetic engineer, build number 5954.
And then the bombshell Sarah brought me.
I know. He was programmed to protect her, a directive given to him by Dr. Lemke centuries ago.
It's like all the pieces of the puzzle are starting to fall into place.
So where do you think Hill is taking us?
You know, I think he's building towards this epic showdown.
Okay.
The final confrontation between humanity and the Sky Reapers.
Right.
It's going to decide the fate of Earth. But I think he's also exploring these deeper themes
Yeah.
about what it means to be human.
Yeah.
In a world that's just changing beyond recognition.
So it's like, how do you balance those things?
The needs of the present versus the hopes for the future.
Especially when survival is so uncertain.
It's a tough question.
And then there's hope.
Even in the face of such overwhelming odds, hope is fragile.
It's a powerful contrast.
It reminds us that the human spirit
Can endure.
can find ways to shine through.
And of course, we can't forget technology.
And its impact on humanity.
Roger brings that theme to the forefront.
He's both creation and destruction.
Yeah, so we have to ask ourselves,
What does it mean to be human?
what are the limits of technology?
What kind of future are we creating?
These are questions we're facing in our own world.
With AI becoming more advanced.
And Hill doesn't give us easy answers. Chapter 5 has given us so much to think about.
Action, suspense.
Big philosophical questions.
I love it.
We've only scratched the surface of the Luminarium.
There's so much more to explore.
And on that note, sinister plotters.
Yeah.
We've reached the end of our deep dive.
Into chapter 5.
But the conversation doesn't end here.
No way.
What are your thoughts?
Your theories, your predictions.
Head over to www.metalstar.us
And share your insights.
using hashtag MetalStarDeepDive.
We'd love to hear from you. The world of Metalstar.
It's full of surprises.
And we can't wait to explore them with you.
Thanks for joining us on this wild ride.
It's been a blast.
Until next time, keep those pages turning.
And those minds churning.